morning, everyone. My name is Adrian Fontes. I'm the Secretary of State, and I'd like to welcome everyone to our third of 3 town halls. We have been about the state, and this will be the last one. These town halls aren't just an effort to make sure that folks are able to enjoy a robust but hopefully polite discussion about the issues that pertain to Arizona and are brought forward by the initiative process, but also to make sure that we're fulfilling our statutory requirements, because as many of you may know, these town halls are mandated by statute. And so we're glad to have you. For those of you walking in, welcome. We have our time limits, which I think are going to be, we're not even going to cover the specifics of the rules. We're asking folks to please respect the time limits, as we want to make sure that folks who are interested in having a part in the conversation do have that. We're encouraging as many of you who would like to participate in the conversation. We have our representative from the Joint Legislative JLBC, Joint Legislative Budget Committee, to answer questions. We always say JLBC, I forget what it stands for sometimes. But we also want to make sure, again, as I indicated, that we want to have a robust but civil discussion, so we'll make sure to be enforcing our time limits today. I am, unfortunately, something like triple booked today, and so they're going to be swooping me out of here as soon as I'm done with my comments this morning, which are just to welcome you. Thank you for coming. Thank you to South Mountain Community College for hosting us. We're always excited to have our partners in this democracy process. One quick note about this room. This is the room where new citizens will get their briefing right before going into the hall down the way here to be sworn in on every July the 4th. The hall is full of families and friends. This is the room where a lot of the official stuff happens. They'll get a welcome usually by folks like me. I remember when I was county recorder, I did it a couple of times. And so I've got a lot of fond memories of a lot of excited people getting ready to become citizens and to finally be able to participate in the democratic process here in the United States of America. So really love this facility. It's got a lot of great memories. And so if you ever do have a little nothing to do on the 4th of July morning, I would encourage you to come down here. The parking lot is usually jam-packed. It's a wonderful, festive time. And usually I think it's Judge Rosalind Silver. She's not retired yet. She's a senior judge from the U.S. Federal District Court. She turns the gymnasium into a courtroom for the day. And she will convene the U.S. District Court to make sure that all those folks finally end their journey into citizenship with a certificate and the swearing in, which is really a great thing to see. So just a little bit about what's going on here. Thank you so much. Again, these 2024 town halls culminate today. I do want to repeat, I hope we have a wonderful discussion. Renata from our office will be giving you a little bit more instructions here, I think. Yeah, is that yes? Yes, okay, so the script changes once in a while. But I do want to thank you and express my regrets for not being able to stick around. Again, it is a very, very busy time in the office, and there's lots of demands. But I did want to stop by, welcome you all. Thank you to South Mountain Community College. I'm heading to Scottsdale right now. And I hope you have a wonderful discussion. Good morning.
Thank you, Secretary Fontes, for that beautiful welcome. And I would like to welcome everyone to the 2024 Town Halls. My name is Renata Fisher. I'm the Deputy State Election Director for the Secretary of State's office. Just a little bit of information before we get the Town Hall started. The filing officer. The Secretary of State is the filing officer for the statewide initiatives. The SOS, meaning the Secretary of State, does not write the language for the proposed initiatives. The committee proposing the initiative files an application and submits the title and text of the proposed initiative to the Secretary of State's office. During this town hall, the Secretary of State's office will remain neutral. We will not take a side for or against any of the propositions that are discussed today. I do ask that everyone please remain respectful and civil to each other. I do understand that everyone has a right to their own beliefs and opinions. Everyone has a right to be passionate about it. But I do ask everyone to remain respectful of others, even if you agree or disagree with what they're saying. Because we want this to be a safe environment for everyone to be able to provide their opinions, whether they make a public comment or ask a question. We never want anyone to feel that they can't be themselves or speak out for or against the measures that we will be discussing today. So again, I want to reiterate to remain respectful at all times, and again, this is a peaceful and a safe environment. We also ask that you please do not use any type of profanity or derogatory language. Today's agenda. So what will happen today, the Secretary of State's office will go over each of the 2 initiatives that we will be discussing today. Then we will ask the proponent and opponents for each of the propositions today to speak for 4 minutes each. After they speak, then we will open it up for the public to provide comments or ask questions. Those comments and questions will be limited to 1 minute or less per person. Also, if a member from the proponent or opposition side is able to answer those questions, they will also be limited to 1 minute or less in providing a response to those questions. Again, questions from the audience. If we do encourage you, if you do provide a comment, we encourage you to leave time for others to ask questions as well. The first thing that we're going to go over just briefly, because these measures will also be on the ballot, although we won't be discussing them today. There were proposed or referred measures by the legislature that you will see on your ballot. There were 6 constitutional amendments that were proposed by the legislature. That was Proposition 133 relating to primary elections, Proposition 134 relating to initiatives and referenda, Proposition 135 relating to the governor, Proposition 136 relating to ballot measures, Proposition 137 relating to the Judicial Department, and Proposition 138 relating to wages. There were also 5 statutory measures that were referred by the legislature. Proposition 311 relating to first responders, Proposition 312 relating to property tax, Proposition 313 relating to child sex trafficking, Proposition 314 relating to responses to harms related to an unsecured border, and Proposition 315 relating to rulemaking. Again, those 11 measures that I just went over, they will also appear on your ballot. Although we won't be discussing those today, but I wanted you to make sure that you're aware that those measures will also be on your ballot. And the following 2 measures were proposed by initiative petition by the citizens. Proposition 139, which is the Arizona Abortion Access Act, and Proposition 140, Make Elections Fair Arizona Act. And those will be the 2 propositions that we will be discussing today. Okay, the first initiative that we will be discussing is Proposition 139, Arizona Abortion Access Act. This initiative is a proposed amendment relating to the fundamental right to an abortion. The initiative text states that every individual has a fundamental right to an abortion. The state shall not enact, adopt, or enforce any law, regulation, policy that does any of the following. The initiative text states that the state shall not deny, restrict, or interfere with that right before fetal viability, unless justified by compelling state interests achieved by the least restrictive means. The state shall not deny, restrict, or interfere with an abortion after fetal viability. That in the good faith judgment of a treating healthcare professional is necessary to protect the life, physical, mental health of the pregnant individual. The state shall not penalize any individual or entity for aiding or assisting a pregnant individual in exercising the individual's right to an abortion. The initiative goes on to define what a compelling state interest will be. It's enacted, adopted for a limited purpose of improving or maintaining the health of the individual seeking abortion care. It's consistent with accepted clinical standards of practice in evidence-based medicine. It does not infringe on that individual's autonomous decision-making. The text goes on to also define fetal viability. It's the point in pregnancy when in good faith judgment of a treating healthcare professional, and based on the particular facts of the case, there is significant likelihood of the fetus's sustained survival outside of the uterus without the application of extraordinary medical measures. On your ballot, you will see a yes vote for Proposition 139 would mean, and shall have the effect of creating a fundamental right to an abortion under Arizona's Constitution. The state will not be able to interfere with this fundamental right before fetal viability unless it has a compelling reason and does so in the least restrictive way possible. Fetal viability means the point in the pregnancy when in the good faith judgment of a treating healthcare professional, the fetus has a significant likelihood of survival outside the uterus. Throughout the pregnancy, both before and after fetal viability, the state will not be able to interfere with the good faith judgment of a treating healthcare professional that an abortion is necessary to protect the life or health of the pregnant individual. The state will not be able to penalize any person for aiding or assisting a pregnant individual in exercising their right to an abortion. You will also see on your ballot what a no vote is for Proposition 139. A no vote shall have the effect of not creating a fundamental right to have an abortion under Arizona's Constitution. Will leave in place current laws that restrict abortion before fetal viability and will allow the state to further restrict or ban abortion in the future. At this time, we will have the opponent for Proposition 139 to come up and speak because we don't have anyone, we don't have a proponent today to speak for the proposition. So at this time, I will ask Cindy to come up and speak.
Thank you. Thanks, Renata, and the Secretary of State's office for inviting us here today. It's important. Can you hear me? No. Okay. Let me come closer. Is that better? Okay. All right. So it is important to begin with the facts. Voters are not deciding this November between abortion and no abortion in Arizona. They are deciding between abortion up to 15 weeks with safeguards in place and guaranteed doctor oversight. That or expanding abortion beyond viability throughout the pregnancy while losing safeguards and a qualified medical doctor. That's the choice this November. Proponents of Prop 139 are lying to voters. They falsely claim that Prop 139 is needed to stop a ban and to ensure women get miscarriage treatment. Both false. First, there is no ban. Again, abortion is legal in Arizona up to 15 weeks and beyond that for any medical emergency. Prop 139 actually expands abortion beyond the point at which the fetus can survive outside the womb. And secondly, of course, miscarriage treatment is already protected under Arizona law. Yet proponents have a new TV ad out claiming that women are suffering in the hospital, not getting treatment for miscarriages, and doctors being afraid that they will be put in prison if they help them. And it also claims that, again, there is a ban. This is an outright lie, easily proven by Arizona law and Chris Mays, the Attorney General of Arizona. To be clear, care for miscarriages is protected under Arizona law 36 2151, which specifically excludes it from the definition of abortion. And Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays cited that law back in June when she was ensuring doctors they can and should treat miscarriages and they do not have to wait to meet the medical emergency definition. It couldn't be clearer. But proponents clearly think it is a better message for them than telling the truth to voters and letting them decide if they want unlimited and unregulated abortion in Arizona. So what does Prop 139 really do? It makes abortion a fundamental right and then prohibits any regulation that interferes in that right. This means anything that the abortion industry sees as slowing business, they will argue interferes with them providing an abortion and the new fundamental right. This means most safeguards will be unenforceable, including informed consent and the critical required ultrasound before and after taking the abortion pill. If a woman takes the abortion pill and she has an undetected ectopic pregnancy, it could kill her. If she takes the abortion pill without knowing exactly how far along she is, and she's further along than what the FDA has approved the pill for, it could lead to very serious complications. And if she does not get an ultrasound afterwards and she still has fetal remains in her uterus, it could turn into a very serious, life-threatening infection. Yet, even the proponent's lawyer admitted in the Arizona Republic that the required ultrasound would not stand under Prop 139. He said the prohibition, the very protective prohibition on sending the abortion pill through the mail without doctor oversight, without any examination, also would not stand. So, under Prop 139, a 13 or 14-year-old girl can order the abortion pill through the mail without ever being examined, without ever talking to a doctor, no medical oversight, no parental oversight, because that also goes away under Prop 139. She will take that pill alone in her bathroom and bleed and cramp for hours, even days. She doesn't know how much blood is too much. She doesn't know if she's hemorrhaging. It is a modern-day back alley abortion, and it is dangerous because we know that 1 in 25 women who take the abortion pill end up in the emergency room. But we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, we will open it up for the public to provide questions or provide comment. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
Okay, thank you. My name is Chad, and I just want to say that Prop 139 goes too far. That it is abortion is already legal at 15 weeks or earlier. That it takes the word doctor out of the proposition where anyone can perform an abortion. That means a massage therapist could perform an abortion. It prohibits any regulation that interferes with or infringes on any abortion, even if it is a safety standard to prevent. It legalizes post-fetal viability abortion. And I just want to encourage everyone to vote no on the proposition that 90% of Arizona voters support limits on abortion at 15 weeks or earlier, and I just want to say that it goes too far. I'm done.
Thank you. Does anyone else have questions or would like to provide a public comment?
Okay, I just want to talk about abortion. I totally disagree what's going on. I don't want to bring Christianity into it. I don't know if I'm allowed to. But my voice has to be heard. I remember years ago, my wife was going to have a baby. She didn't know she was pregnant, so she was taking pills. They found out she was pregnant, and the doctor told me to have abortion. I says, no, I will not have abortion. My son is a very bright young man. He works for Hawkins Theater, does all the computer work. He's healthy as can be. I just want you to hear my voice. I cry all the time to hear this, to hear a little baby in the stomach. It's wrong. It's wrong in the eyes of God. So I said it, it's true, it's wrong in the eyes of God. And I'm voting against it. God bless you. Thank you for hearing me.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, my name is Sherry. Are you saying that they're already allowed abortions up to 15 weeks under the current law? Because that's not what all the ads and all the things I've read in the papers.
Yeah, correct. Abortion is
For any-
legal.
For any reason.
For any reason, a woman or a girl can get an abortion up to 15 weeks, that's almost 4 months.
Right.
And then beyond that, for any medical emergency.
Is the medical emergency then defined so restrictive, like do not resuscitate stuff? You have to have 2 doctors, you have to have all this stuff.
No. As a matter of fact, Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays, in that same memo in June, actually the whole thing was about what a medical emergency is, and it's very well defined actually in Arizona law. And she and others have stated that it is broad and it covers, I don't remember it exactly off the top of my head, but it is something to the effect of when there is a risk of significant damage to a bodily organ.
So where do I get a copy of that June memo?
It's online. I can provide the link.
Thank you.
Sure.
Will you do that now? You have that thing?
But I don't know how to provide like the whole link. You know, I can see you afterwards. But if you go on Attorney General Mays' website and you just do a search for medical emergency guidance, you'll come up with it. But I'm happy to give it to you afterwards. I think it's just a little bit longer than something I can just put out.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Anyone else before we move on to the next proposition? Okay, well. Oh, there's one for me.
My name is Jill Lowen. I just want to make one quick comment. We need to get educated and send education to these young people that are having these abortions, because that's where it's at. They're not being properly taught to understand what abortion is. And I think the education needs to be taught, and if they got proper education and acknowledge what is going on and what they're actually really doing, they'll be totally against abortions.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or public comments from anyone else?
Sherry again. This is a little off topic. I didn't realize, and the town hall meeting notice did not say you're only discussing these 2 propositions. Where do I get answers from the questions I have for the other 11?
We have, in the publicity pamphlet, of course, you
I
have,
have a book. but
yes, you have the title and text of the other measures, as well as you have the legislative analysis, and also you would also have the arguments that are for and against.
Right, but that doesn't answer the questions that those arguments raise.
I do apologize, but today we're only here to discuss Proposition 139 and 140.
Okay, when you publish town halls in the future, would you tell what the agenda is? Because it did not say that on your website.
Okay, definitely, we can definitely take note of that, and I definitely thank you for saying that.
I wouldn't have driven 40 miles to get here otherwise.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, this is Deborah Karn. Thank you for presenting the facts. I don't know why the pro 139s lie. I don't understand that, just outright lying. And I have a question for you. Can you address like a human trafficker that comes in controlling a woman? What kind of restrictions are going to be placed on him or her?
Well, currently, there are safeguards in place if a girl is brought into the abortion clinic. She'll be alone and at a time, and there's certain questions that she's asked to ensure that she's there on her on her own. If Prop 139 goes away, passes, that goes away. It says specifically that anyone who aids or assists someone getting an abortion cannot be held accountable. So if an abuser, any sex abuser, takes his victim to the abortion clinic, forces her to get an abortion to cover his crime, he will not be held accountable for that cover-up, making it easier to cover his sex crime.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments for Proposition 139 before we move on to Proposition 140? Okay, thank you.
Good morning. So we'll be going over Proposition 140, Make Elections Fair Arizona Act. So qualifications and disqualifications of voters. No person shall be entitled to vote at any general election unless such person is a U.S. citizen, is 18 years or over, has state residency, so that's currently in place. Rights of U.S. citizens to vote, hold office shall not be denied a bridge on account of sex, which is already in statute. This proposition would add political party affiliation or non-affiliation. The no person shall be denied a ballot. If Proposition 140 is also passed, it would include all of the following. So no person shall be denied a ballot for public office, nor be restricted from selecting any candidates for public office based on the person's political party affiliation or non-affiliation. No person who is adjudicated an incapacitated person shall be qualified to vote, nor shall any person convicted of treason or felony be qualified to vote unless restored civil rights. Highest number of votes received, voter rankings. Person receiving the highest number of legal votes shall be declared elected, which is currently in statute. The proposition would also add, does not prohibit the use of voter rankings to determine which person received the highest number of legal votes. Direct primary election law. Legislature shall enact direct primary election that provides for the nomination of candidates for all elective state and county offices and for U.S. Senator and Representative in Congress, which is currently the law. It would also include, if Proposition 140 is passed, all qualified electors may vote in the primary election regardless of the qualified electors or candidates' political party affiliation. Also include all candidates who qualify for the election to an office shall be placed on the same ballot for the primary election regardless of the candidate's political party affiliation or non-affiliation. All candidates for an office regardless of political party affiliation or non-affiliation shall have the same signature requirements to qualify for the primary election ballot. Qualified elector may sign a candidate nomination petition without regard to political party affiliation or non-affiliation of the elector or candidate. Does not prohibit political party from endorsing or supporting a candidate. If the law allows a candidate to list the candidate's political party affiliation next to the candidate's name on the ballot must include a statement that the political party affiliation does not indicate a candidate has been nominated or endorsed by the political party, only reflects the candidate's political party registration. For any office, one candidate is to be elected. 2 to 5 candidates may advance from the primary election to the general election. For any office, 2 candidates are to be elected. 4 to 7 candidates may advance from the primary election to the general election. For any office, 3 candidates are to be elected. 6 to 8 candidates may advance from the primary election to the general election. Candidates' political party affiliation or non-affiliation cannot be considered when determining the candidates to advance from the primary election to the general election. If the legislator does not enact a law that becomes effective on or before November 1st, 2025, the Secretary of State shall determine the number of candidates for each office who may advance from the primary election to the general election. The Secretary of State shall prescribe a process if 3 or more candidates may advance from the primary election to the general election for an office to which 1 candidate will be elected, and the legislator has not prescribed a process by which voter rankings are used to determine which candidate is elected to an office at the general election. Legislation may amend the Secretary of State's determinations made, except that the legislator may not modify the Secretary of State's determination as to the number of candidates that may advance less than 6 years after the Secretary's determination is made. Does not restrict qualified electors to change through an initiative or referendum the number of candidates who may advance from the primary election to the general election. Each candidate for offices that have primary elections may appear on the general election ballot if the candidate qualifies for the general election through a primary election, fills a vacancy created by death or withdrawal of a nominated candidate at the primary election. Not more than once every 6 years, legislator may enact legislation changing the number of candidates who may advance from the primary election to the general election. Does not restrict qualified electors to change through an initiative or referendum the number of candidates who may advance from the primary election to the general election. Not subject to requirements in Article IX, Section 23, expenditures required by initiative or referendum funding source. So for 2 candidates, if only 2 candidates may advance to which 1 candidate will be elected, the candidate receiving the majority of votes cast is elected. 3 or more candidates. If 3 or more candidates may advance to which 1 candidate will be elected, voter rankings shall be used to determine which candidate is elected for that office. If the majority of votes cast does not rank a single candidate as the voter's first choice preference, then the procedure shall provide for the tabulation of all votes legally cast for that office and take into account voters' rankings of candidates to determine which candidate is elected. Prohibition on expenditure of public monies for political party elections. So subsection 8, except as provided in subsection B, public money shall not be spent to administer political party elections, including without limitation, precinct committee officers, presidential preference election, and partisan primary elections to nominate a candidate for public office. Applies to all jurisdictions in the state. Subsection B, public monies may be used to administer presidential preference election if all persons registered as no party preference or independent, or who are registered with a political party that is not qualified for representation on the ballot may vote in the election of any one of the political parties that are qualified for the ballot. Applicable date, if approved by voters, this constitutional amendment shall apply to the elections occurring after July 1st, 2026. And a yes vote on your ballot. So a yes vote shall have the effect of allowing all eligible voters to vote for any primary election candidate regardless of political affiliation, imposing the same signature requirements on all candidates for a given office who wish to appear on the primary ballot. Generally prohibiting the use of public funds for political party elections, allowing future law to determine how many candidates advance from the primary election, as well as a process by which candidates are elected at the general election. And if future law provides that 3 or more candidates may advance to the general election for an office to which 1 candidate will be elected, voter rankings shall be used. A no vote for Proposition 140. A no vote shall have the effect of maintaining current requirements related to primary and general election processes. And now we don't have anyone for the proponent for 140, but we do have the opponent who will come up and be able to speak for 4 minutes.
Thank you for this opportunity to come down here today. I am urging you to vote no on Prop 140 I think you can see from just the description that was read to you, it is a very confusing initiative. I've been a lawyer for 35 years, and even as I hear it, I'm confused when I listen to it. At bottom, what Prop 140 does is it imposes California-style elections here in Arizona. Specifically, it is ranked choice voting. Some of you may have heard about ranked choice voting. You've seen what it's done in Alaska and California and some other states. It would be a disaster for this state. Ranked choice voting confuses voters. You can see that from the proposition. When you get a ranked choice voting ballot, you have columns. You have to vote for every single candidate in the primary, in the general. You have to rank them from 1 to 10 or 1 to 5 from top to bottom. As each round progresses, the bottom candidate that gets the least vote drops out. Those votes are then attributed to the other candidate. So you have elimination rounds, and all of that is done inside a tabulator. You will never see who progresses from round 1 to round 2 to round 3. So in a time where people are so concerned about transparency and accountability in elections, to have our elections decided inside a tabulator is not something that is going to instill confidence in election integrity. It also disenfranchises voters. What happens is, if you don't rank every single one of the candidates, when your ranked candidates run out, your ballot is what's called a wasted ballot or an exhausted ballot, and it is thrown out. So for example, if you only rank candidates 1 through 5 and there's 7 candidates, once your 5 candidates are done, your ballot is exhausted. In the New York City mayoral primary in 2021, there are over 140,000 exhausted ballots. These are ballots that are simply erased. It takes longer to vote. It takes longer to count. People have to not only understand the main choices, they have to understand every single candidate all the way up to fringe candidates so they can rank those candidates. And it has an abysmal track record. In Oakland and Alameda County, it produced the wrong candidate. It is extremely difficult to sort out mistakes and errors, and so they had to bring in an expert. There's very, very difficult algorithms that are involved in this. It took an inordinate long time to sort out. Pierce County, Washington, a disaster. Alaska, a disaster. I will tell you this. I was in Idaho last weekend to visit some family, and signs everywhere were "Stop the Californication of Idaho Elections." They have an initiative on the ballot to prohibit ranked choice voting. We are behind the curve in this state. States are getting rid of it. Alaska now has a matter on the ballot to get rid of ranked choice voting. So I urge you to vote no. It is confusing. Ranked choice voting has lack of transparency. It disenfranchises voters. It takes longer to vote. And the trend in this country is to prohibit it. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions or public comments for Proposition 140?
You guys made me get up early this morning and come down here. No questions?
You have a very good statement. What is your name?
Andrew Gould, G-O-U-L-D.
And are you reachable for future questions? Since I just got this book last week?
You bet.
Okay.
I'll let you know when we're done.
Okay. Are there any other questions or public comments for 140? Okay.
Well, I'm glad I came because I did not know about that, and I hate ranked voting. So I'm glad that I at least stayed to hear what you had to say.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
My name is Sherry. So one of the things in here, it says person's political party. In the beginning of this book, reading definitions, it said something about voting in an approved party. Does that mean a qualified party? how is a party qualified, and what happens to people from CCP? Are they qualified? Green Party, are they qualified? Independents, are they qualified? How does that work here, or is it only a two-party system, and if you're not part of that two-party, you can't vote in the primary
No,
currently?
not at all. You can vote right now as an independent. You can vote, you can ask for a ballot and vote as an independent in a Republican or Democrat party. You have that right to do. Now, when they talk about qualified, you have to get so many signatures to get on the ballot. So that's what they mean by qualified.
Are there any other questions or public comments?
So since you answered that real well, and it's a general question, what about the fact that the legislature can submit all these with only, 16 or 20 or a vote of the legislature instead of the 300 and some thousand that a person would have to gather?
You talk about the signature qualifications right now for the legislature. It's all a formula. It depends on how many people vote in your particular legislative district. So there's less people that vote in each legislative district, and it's a percentage. Or when you run statewide, it's a percentage of the number of people who voted in the gubernatorial election.
Yeah, I think the question I was intending to ask, I'll clarify, and that is that the legislature puts these out, and since we vote for them, we hope they have our interest at heart and not where their money comes from. And so how can the legislature, with only a handful of people in the legislature, put forth these ballots?
So I want to make sure I understand your question. The description, the book that you have right there, or these proposed ballot initiatives. Now, this ballot initiative, Prop 140, is a citizen-supported initiative. So they had to get, 350,000 signatures, something like that, for this. Now, the HCRs, the legislative ones, those are passed by the legislature and put on the ballot by the legislature. Under the Arizona Constitution, you can put an initiative or referendum on the ballot either through the legislature or it could be a citizen-supported initiative. But it takes a huge number of signatures for a citizen-supported initiative. Now, the reason for that is the legislature obviously has the legislative authority. Initiatives give the people legislative authority, so there's a higher barrier for people to go essentially around the legislature and propose constitutional amendments and legislation.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions related to Proposition 140 or comments related to Proposition 140? Okay, thank you. Just some quick reminders for everyone. Regarding the general election, the voter registration deadline is October 7th, which is Monday at 11:59 p.m. So if you haven't registered to vote, please go to servicearizona.com to register to vote. You may also request a paper ballot, but you would definitely want to submit that to your county recorder's office on Monday as well, because remember, voter registration deadline October 7th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. In-person early voting begins October 9th, which is Wednesday, and it goes through November 1st, 2024 at 7 p.m. And of course, Election Day is November 5th, 2024, and remember that polls open at 6 a.m. and they close at 7 p.m. We would definitely like to thank everyone for coming out today, because of course you could have been anywhere else, but we definitely appreciate you taking the time to come out today to the town hall. And please remember to get out and vote. If you're voting in person, if you're voting by mail, just please get out there and vote. Thank you again. Feel free to go to our website at www.azsos.gov or visit arizona.vote for additional information. Thank you all.